employee is set to return to work following a medical leave of absence. Her position is no longer required. I am looking at termination without cause. Any concerns I should consider as she is returning from a medical leave? I hate to ring the alarm bells, but it is quite a tricky task to terminate someone when they are coming from a medical leave, unless you can prove a few things. If there was, in fact, an economic downturn that has affected the work, then you can let them go. But if you're choosing to let them go only when you have 5 other employees that you're not letting go, there's an inference that the tribunal may make, thinking that maybe you chose that person because they were on a leave of absence for medical reasons. So that is essentially the work of the Human Rights Tribunal to find if you've in fact discriminated against this person. So what this person would do realistically is they'll probably speak with a lawyer. The lawyer will realistically tell them, if this happened in such close proximity from the return from a medical leave until the date of termination, if that was within short proximity, then more likely than not, one can make the case that this is motivated, at least in part, by the disability itself or the leave of absence. Now, there are ways around this. There are ways that an employer can determine if the return from the medical leave is a timely return, if the employee in fact can return, if there are certain limitations that the employee can or cannot do. These play a factor in how you as an employer can decide what you can do with that employee. But to rush to terminate someone, and I see, you've done a bit of research yourself, that you're looking at a termination without cause, meaning there wasn't a real reason to terminate them other than maybe they're not the right fit. But if it's a termination for cause, then the employee may have potentially stolen something, they lied, they are negligent in their work and doing it on purpose so that they do get fired. So absent for cause, terminating an employee coming back from a medical leave without cause is quite dangerous, because it tells the employee that you don't really have a good reason to terminate them. And then the timeliness of it coming back from a medical leave just makes it a bit more suspect. And it might get the Human Rights Tribunal to side more with the employee rather than the employer. There are ways to cover yourself from not having to potentially bring an employee back who will rely on their disability to not perform, for example. That is possible, and it unfortunately happens. I would proceed with caution before you terminate that person after a medical leave. What many employers do, unfortunately, is they'll have them come back, but they'll sort of put them on a timer. So they'll say, within 6 months, I'm going to terminate this person. And some employers can't stomach handling someone for, 6 months if they're just not a performer. But I would proceed a lot with caution here, because you don't want that employee to essentially claim that you've terminated them for cause. They'll get general damages. So general damages is a non-taxable amount. 2, so it's not even an expense for you as a business owner. It making it a little bit more of a risky proposition. And that's between $5,000 and $20,000. And then on top of that, the lost wages. So that employee, whatever she would have earned from the date of return until the date that she gets another job, that amount will be lost wages. It will be covered by the jurisdiction of the Human Rights Tribunal, and that can be awarded to that employee for that termination.